budgets of Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, or LEDAC, as well as the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone and Freeport Authority, APECO, and the Authority of the Freeport Area, Bataan, as well as the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority for fiscal 2021 is now in order. May we ask the ComSec, Babia, to introduce the guest, please. We will also recognize right away Senator Dillon, as well as Senator Marcos as part of this meeting. Go ahead, Secretary Babia. Let's start with just LEDAC muna, para mabilis.
Good afternoon, sir. From LEDAC, we have Yusek Jose Miguel R. De La Rosa, LEDAC, NEDA LEDAC Secretariat, Dr. Rowena M. Dalusong, Miss Celeste V. Gomez, Miss Ria L. Robles, Miss Jeneline L. Valencia Rodriguez, Mr. Don P. Constantino, Miss Christine Joy Manansala. From APECO, sir, we have Mr. Israel.
Let's start with LEDAC first, and then we can go to APECO one by one, please. Sorry to disturb you, but we have to start first with the LEDAC, so that
Those are good.
Yes, the budget of LEDAC, created under Republic Act number 7640 on December 9, 1992, services is now being addressed by this committee. As we all know, it was created under Republic Act number 7640 on December 9, 1992, and serves as a consultative and advisory body to the President, Chair of the NEDA Board, on certain programs and policies essential to the realization of the goals of the national economy. Well, the functions, they serve to facilitate high-level policy discussions on vital issues and concerns affecting national department, particularly with the legislature. The functions include determine and recommend socio-economic development goals, provide policy advice to the President, integrate regional development plans into the National Development Plan, study measures to improve implementation of official development assistance, assess effectiveness of the implementation of the National Development Plan, integrate the environmental principles and practices into the National Development Plan, and integrate legislative agenda with the National Development Plan, and recommend to the President and Congress sources of revenues and measures to reduce unnecessary expenditures in government. Of course, the council membership include the President, the Vice President, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House, 7 members of the Cabinet designated by the President, 3 members of the Senate designated by the Senate President, 3 members of the House of Representatives designated by the Speaker of the House, a representative of the local government units, a representative from the youth sector, a representative from the private sector. Today, the budget will include for 2021 4,016,000 pesos. And so we shall now proceed and call on the head of LEDAC, who is here, I presume, and he can make his presentation. It should be a short presentation. We have a budget of 4 million. So shall we recognize Jose Miguel de la Rosa, please? And then we can proceed right away to the questions by the members.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and honorable members of the committee. As you can see, we have a report budget for 2021 from our 2020 level. This was from recording of the chair, Senator Gordon. We were given an additional 725,000 pesos for our operating expenses. But this was because of the pandemic, we were not able to implement most of the activities that we have lined up. So we are now requesting for a reduced budget of 4,160,000. But if the committee will deem it necessary for us to continue the activities that we are presenting now, we would welcome the revival of the additional 725,000 pesos.
How much?
Yeah. In our plan for 2021, we would we would like to ensure that the regional development plans and programs are integrated to the national development plan. So this means that we go through the process of consultation with local government units and making sure that the programs addressing the pandemic, like the Balik Probinsya program and other similar initiatives,
You have not
would
answered my
be.
question. My question was simple. You're asking for an increase in your budget. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
How much are you asking for? How much are you asking for? What do you need? What do you need for? Can you give me a figure?
We would like to request for the additional 725,000 that you sponsored last time, Mr. Chair.
Well, let me proceed with the meeting. Senator Marcos, if you don't mind, Senator Rillo would like to seniority and can we call on Senator Dillon to ask the questions, if any?
One question. When was the last time that LEDAC met?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Go ahead.
Brilliant minds work along the same lines.
Thank you. I will accept it from you.
Pareho namang question natin.
Tatlo na tayo.
Hindi natin nararamdaman eh. Wala tayong pakiramdam. Bakit hindi nyo tinatawag? Ba't di nyo ina-encourage? You serve as advisor to the president. Don't you think you should ask him to call a LEDAC meeting regularly? In fact, to be
Yes,
frank,
Mr. Chair.
in accordance with the question of Senator Frank,
Yeah.
no meeting has been set for 18 Congress. Last meeting was on 20 September 2017. Can you answer that, Mr. De La Rosa?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The LEDAC had been consulting with the partner offices in the CWG, and we have done about 5 CWG meetings in 2019 and 2 in 2020. But for the LEDAC meetings, of course, you are right. The convening of the LEDAC as a whole body, there were only 4 from 2016, January 2017, August 2017, and September 2017.
So it really meets very, very sparingly. Does that answer your question, Senator Dillon, Senator Marcos? So they get a budget of 4 million. How many employees do you have? 4? You can share 1 million per employee.
No, did you say, okay, you know, Mr. Chairman, at 4 million, I don't want to ask so many questions, but I cannot resist asking already. Did you say you had 6 meetings in when? This year? Huh? 4 meetings. So,
From 2016.
Kailan po?
2016 to 2017 and then never met again.
I will not ask any questions. I want to be kind today.
That's a holiday, Frank. Well, I suppose you should respect the observation and perhaps the concern of the Senate. There has been very, very few meetings, and that is why it would appear that the president does not love you.
Just as an input, Mr. Yusek, you're Mr. Jose. What's your name, sir?
Jose Miguel de la Rosa.
Jose Miguel de la Rosa. Yusek de la Rosa.
Oo naman.
Let me relate to you What I did when I was the Senate President, I think 2 Congresses ago, once a month, I think it's the first Monday or first Friday, whatever, I would meet together with the leadership of the Senate, the majority leader, the pro tempore, the minority leader. The four of us will meet with the four um, officers in the lower house. We don't even involve the executive, just the legislative. And then we would review our agenda, we would review our what is on the plate. And I tell you, without involving, we don't even call on the executive. We were able to pass so many laws. The Senate President today was the minority leader then. He would interrupt his golf schedule and join us and join the meetings, breakfast, and also Sunny Belmonte. So we would meet regularly, as we call it, mini LEDAC, because in the LEDAC that's only the L, the E is not there. But we were able to achieve a lot, and I'm making this of record. Maybe you can look at that. I know that it's extremely difficult to get your president preside over the LEDAC because he has his own schedule. But maybe you can initiate that so that hindi ka namin mahihirapan ka sa sagot. When was the last meeting of LEDAC? 2017. Paano naman kami matutuwa dyan? Ha? I would strongly suggest, Mr. Yusek, you initiate a monthly meeting once a month among the two chambers. Alam mo, marami kang magagawa doon. Pag nagkasundo yung dalawang kapulungan, mabilis ang trabaho. Of course, it's up to the president whether or not he will approve or veto the measure. But at least the work output is something that you can be proud of. So I'm just relating
Yes, Mr. Chair.
that you will see if it's worth your time, do something, because instead of having no meetings for the last 3 years, at least may magagawa ka in your time. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yes. We hear that loud and clear. In fact, the technical working group has been doing its work. We had been doing consultation with our partners in the Senate and the House, including the Office of the President.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mr. Marcos is recognized.
Yes, Apo Yusek, yes. Do you also meet with the Presidential Legislative Liaison Office, yung PLLO? Kasi matagal nang sinasabi ni SP Soto na in order to ensure zero presidential veto for all bills to be approved by both houses of Congress, the LEDAC should meet at least with that mini LEDAC that Senator Drilon was referring to. Nagmi-meet ba kayo kahit papano sa PLLO?
Mr. Chair, yes, we had been meeting with the PLLO representatives.
I'm speechless.
Parang kawawa naman.
Abi kayo. May I ask you, you are USEC, you have the rank of USEC. Is that because of LEDAC?
No, sir. My designation as LEDAC, supervising LEDAC USEC, is a designation made by the Secretary.
Secretary,
I am Undersecretary for Corporate Affairs.
is there a cabinet position called Corporate Affairs? Which cabinet? Which office?
Leda?
Undersecretary for Corporate Affairs.
Under the office of the president, of course. Under the office of the
I
president.
beg your pardon, sir.
You were referring to a secretary. Which secretary do you report to?
I report to the Secretary.
Which secretary? NEDA?
Leda?
NEDA ba?
Yes, sir.
Well, we sympathize with your predicament, but we must also tell you that you should try to make your presence felt positively. And the suggestion of Senator Dillon is well taken, that you should try and encourage and get the attention of your compatriots there, because certainly when you have the budget of 4 million and with no meetings, the Senate will not be dying with enthusiasm to try and increase your budget. Senator Marcos, you still have a question?
Wala, baka mag-iyakan pa tayo eh.
Well, would you like to entertain a motion to pass this the budget of
Yes, I herewith move that the budget of the LEDAC be passed and referred to the Mother Committee of Finance.
all right, thank you very much.
Second division.
I was about to ask Senator Dillon. There are only 3 of us here. The motion is already seconded. Thank you very much. And on that basis, we will submit this proposition of 4 billion pesos plus
Wow, naman.
for approval in the House, with our in the Senate, with our sympathies and our constant advice that you try to make your presence felt positively before not only the President but also the legislature. Thank you very much, Mike, Yusek Mike, for your kind. We really sympathize with you. Are you trying
Thank
to
you,
hide
Mr.
your
Chair,
kids? You have a very
and
big
members
face
of the
mask.
Honorable Committee.
Thank you, Mike. No, sorry. We try to make your presence felt positively, please, because you're not going to get any attention. Thank you very much. We now go to the in our agenda. We're going to go through the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone and Freeport Authority, or the APECO. The APECO is the first green economic zone with 12,923 hectares, strategically located along the northeastern Pacific seaboard, dubbed as the gateway to the Pacific. The ecozone is depicted as the country's first economic zone located in the Pacific ship based in the east. So I doubt that because Cagayan has the Freeport economic zone. These were both recommended by 2 Sigma Roans, Senator Enrile for Cagayan and Senator Angara, and supported by the Upsilonian in the Senate. So without further ado, our guests from APECO, or resource person from APECO, include Mr. Israel F. Madukduk, President and CEO of the Aurora Pacific Economic Zone Authority, as well as Edward Pineda, Deputy Administrator, Archimedes Aldaba, Attorney, for Anthony T. Valencia, and Mr. Hardy Dakiwag. Don't know why you put including the executive assistants. Anyway, go ahead, please. Mr. Madukduk, can you please give us a glimpse of your budget? Mr. Madukduk, are you there? You have to press the unmute button.
Okay, good afternoon. Patayin mo na yung phone. Patayin mo yung phone natin dyan.
If you have another device there, it's going to create an echo. So go ahead, please. Go ahead, Mr. Madukduk.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. We're now going to present today our presentation for the Senate budget hearing.
We're waiting with bated breath for you to make your presentation. Please go ahead.
Yes. Go na, go. Go, yung presentation natin. O, pumasok ka. Please share it now.
Because you can't have your conversation with the committee, not with your assistants. You should have been prepared for this. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're now going to present to you. We're now sharing the presentation of APECO for today's Senate budget hearing. Right, Tom.
Please proceed.
Ikaw na, Tom. Tuloy mo na, ikaw na.
Ay, nako.
If you will not proceed, we will call Senator Osmeña so that he can.
Ikaw na mag-present to. Okay, our finance chief will present the presentation of our budget for 2021.
Please stop threatening us and proceed with your presentation. Otherwise, I will take over. Do you want me to take over? That will mean a reduction of your budget because you're making us work double time. We just want to know. We just want to know whether you know your department. Do you?
Yes, we are now presenting it. Our finance guy will present the presentation, Mr. Chair.
For the last 4 years during the term of President Manuklo,
What is your finance man? His name? What is his name?
Anthony Valencia.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Division Manager, Finance po Apeco. Starting 2016, during the term of President Manuklo, of this revenue came from our visa issuance operations, this and our online gaming operations. For the first quarter of 2020, we have attracted additional 7 locators with a projected investment of 2 billion pesos and an approximate 1,000 jobs to be generated. Among these 7 registered enterprises, 3 are already on the preliminary development stages and conducting inspections in the economic zone. This is in addition from our previous 3 locators that already started development in Apeco. For tourism, we have a Japanese and Filipino consortium already building several villas, several residential villas. For foreign. Then we have another one from information technology. This is a foreign locator also for online gaming. Then one in energy and what our latest locator is for Agri-Aqua. This is a 500 million peso investment. They will culture the most tilapia for export. 300 kgs Agri-Aqua operations. Then for our budget proposal, our original proposal to the Department of Budget and Management is 426 million. However, when the NEP passes the review, we only given 168.7 million. This is the same budget given to Apeco in 2020. Under this 2021 proposed budget, we have 3 major projects. The segment 2 of our underground electric power distribution, then the phase 2 of our sewage treatment plant, and the fire station and fire protection equipment that are required for the continuous operation of the economic zone. Again, to reiterate, the NEDA recommendation from their review of Apeco, which is the government to continue supporting completion and necessary structures and facilities of Apeco, both off-site and on-site. Locator support facilities such as power, water, supply, drainage facilities, waste management, housing, to enable the corporation to attract its investors, operate to realize and expect and returns potential investment. We would like to emphasize also that these locators went to Apeco and all have positive response or positive impression in the future development in Apeco.
That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Senator Geron is recognized. I'm sorry. So I was so impressed with the performance of APECO.
Thank you, Chair, Mr. Chair.
Senator Geron, you have to unmute.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, but I was not asking to be recognized.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had a prior, I'm an obedient junior assistant. Like the real minority floor leader. We follow the real majority floor leader.
Well, no, I have no questions. I have no questions on APECO.
Thank you, Amy. Do you have
Yes,
a
I just have a quick question since I am the sole barbarian here and I'm neither Sigmaron or Upsilon. May I ask, when does APECO seek to make a profit? There's been a net loss of 50 million in 2019, 2020, 21. Estimated losses are between 58 and 63 million. Are there any plans or information that will cheer up our Friday afternoon po?
Yeah, our finance guy will answer that, Ms. Senator.
Mr. Madukduk, I was chairman of SBMA. I'm not comparing our expertise, but as chairman of APECO, which is not a very, very big operation, the question of Senator Marcos is very appropriate. You were established in 2010, and it's now 2020. A decade has passed, and we want to know. And still, you're asking for more infrastructure. Is it not correct that you had already a highway that shortened the trip between Manila and Aurora? It's now 5 hours. It used to be 8 hours, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So
In
that
fact, the road network is complete. And what we are lacking in APECO are power and connectivity.
So you have a power. Go ahead, Amy. I don't want to take your questions, but go ahead, please. I'll follow with my own later. You have to unmute, please. Unmute.
Sorry, ako naman. Oo. Yes, I just like to request from them kung may plano sila going forward, kung kailan pa ito kikita. At higit sa lahat, yung 2019 COA findings ninyo, how did you respond to them? Because they are quite problematic.
We can start making profit as soon as all the infrastructures are complete.
What's the projection? Naku po, parang suntok sa buwan po yan. May COVID po.
Siguro po in the next 2 years, 2 of our locators now will start operating in the next 2 years. Once we have the complete infrastructure like power, because the national grid is touched in Kasiguran, and right now we are only dependent on a small franchisee. 1 megawatt power supply for APECO.
The problem is, Mr. Madukdok, that's the COA finding precisely in 2019, that these infrastructure projects of 150 million were not completed because of poor planning and implementation. May pera na hindi pa na-implement. Ba't naman nagkaganon? So, hihingi na lang ako ng information. Please submit to my Vice Chair Gordon kung paano kayo nag-respond sa COA 2019. Kasi humihingi kayo ng infrastructure ulit, hindi naman pala ninyo na-i-implement.
Okay po. In fact, nakapag-submit na po kami sa COA ng mga hinihingi nilang requirements, lalo na po yung sa reporting system.
Thank you very much. We'll await the submission.
We will submit it po to your office. Thank you po.
No, forgive me, Senator Marcos. I'd like to give justice to your question. We cannot baby you, 10 years na kayo. Yung tanong ni Senator Marcos is out of, I suppose, impatience already because 10 years na kayo. Tapos meron pa kayo mga COA wounds, or injuries, self-inflicted wounds, if I may say so. But you're not answering the question. The question is, you have to promote, and you already have the infrastructure, like I said, of roads. You have, if I remember correctly, there was an airport place there, right? So you can come out with even missionary routes for Aurora, right?
Yes po.
Meron ba kayo nakuha doon?
Wala po. Actually po, yung airport namin doon, airstrip lang po yun. Runway.
Well, Ilocos Norte started that way before they had an airport. I remember before they had all of us had an airstrip before. But my point is, parang hinihintay nyo, Freeports and export processing zones are chicken or egg. And you have to show confidence to the investor. And you claim you have 3 investors now that are going to start, hopefully. Mag-i-start ba talaga yon? Ano ba yung, ano yung mga,
Meron na po silang construction doon.
ano yun?
Starting their construction, their buildings.
Anong negosyo? Yung
It
Chinese
will be BPO po, BPO.
BPO.
Opo.
How many seats do you expect?
Yung isa po is 500 seats.
And the other one, ano pa yung iba?
Yung isa ho is
Chinese?
another 200 seats.
Chinese ba yan? Chinese company?
Korean po ito, Korean.
Korean, alright? Yung isa, ano yung papasok?
Pareho po silang Korean companies po.
Parehong Korean.
Opo.
You're like Subic. We started with some Korean companies making fishing poles. No? And then eventually they were followed by the Japanese, and the Taiwanese, of course, started it. But what do you have in mind? Ano ang game plan B nyo for this COVID scenario that has taken a bigger part of the year? Tama yung sinabi ni Senator Amy na COVID ngayon, paano kayo makakakuha ng mga investments?
Through online po, through online. Actually, yung isa po
Yung
located today.
may lisensya po kayo para sa gaming. May pogo ba dyan sa BPO ninyo?
Allowed po kami, allowed.
Kaya nga, meron ba?
Wala pa po.
Okay.
Kala ko pogo na yun, kaya kita natanong kung Chinese eh.
Kaya nga, ako din eh.
Ay, nako.
No, but their charter allows them to
It's
license.
allowed, yeah.
Right, they're allowed. But it's not a bad idea, because even the Secretary of Finance now swears to Pogo's contribution to the economy of our country. But of course, they've all left, no?
Wala, they call this bluff, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, you have made revenue amounting to 54 million. Is that correct? For the last 4 years?
For the last 4 years po, your chair.
So, what is your revenue? 2019, you had a revenue of 19.9 million.
Yes po.
Saan galing ang revenue na yan?
Mostly on Visa and online gaming.
Oh.
O, di may
Oo,
pogo
ayun
kayo?
nga, kaya nga.
Di po, ito po ay alam po ito, nag-fine tuning pa po sila ng system nila, because this operator invested on interconnectivity po.
The question was forthright. Do you have pogo? Pala, naghahanda na kayo ng pogo. May income na kayo. Ano naman yan? Or forthright.
Yun yung 19 million came from the 250,000 gaming master licensor po namin from Pacific Seaports.
Pakiulit, Mr. Chairman. How did you realize 19.9 million
That
again?
is the 250,000 fee from the master licensor.
200.
Dollars yun.
Apo.
Huh?
Dollars. 250,000.
Dollars po, dollars.
Yung master licensor nasa China, ganun ba?
Di po, dito po sa Pilipinas.
Sino yun?
Saan nag-ooperate yan?
Hindi po, sila po yung aming master licensor.
Master
Sabi mo, wala
license.
pong pogo.
Yeah, sila po yung I'll direct you po to our chief legal.
Teka, operations muna, mamaya na yung legal. Kaya-kaya ng chairman namin yan. So operations muna. This is the 19 million that you generated is by virtue of a $250,000 fee. Is that correct?
Yes po. Yes po.
Now, out of that, has the licensee issued licenses?
Hello, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon po. Actually po, we started operating online gaming year 2017, but hindi po sa Aurora Economic Zone, dito po sa Metro Manila. And then there was a pronouncement from President Duterte way back in 2018 requiring operators of online gaming located in Manila, licensed by APECO, to go back to Aurora. So doon po yung nag-stop yung operation. But we already have a master licensor po way back in 2012. They were given 5 years po grace period. After the end of the grace period, which is in 2017, as per contract po, the master licensor is required to pay APECO an annual guaranteed income of $250,000. So, mapapansin nyo po, from 2017, nagbibigay po sila ng annual guaranteed na $250,000. Kahit po nag-stop yung operation, required pa rin po sila na magbayad ng $250,000. That's all, Mr. Chair.
So are they not actually operating today? That's what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, Senator po.
They are not actually operating.
Yes, sir. Because we were instructed through a presidential pronouncement that our POGO operations here in Manila will be terminated and transferred to Kasiguran, to Aurora. But the problem, Mr. Senator, we don't have complete basic infrastructure facilities in APECO. We don't have connectivity in internet, and number two, we don't have a continuous supply of power. We only have 1 megawatt being operated by NAPOCOR, diesel genset, and then the infrastructure facility for sewerage treatment plant will be implemented and bidded this coming November 2020, as well as the central water reservoir. So basically po, the locators po cannot really operate at this stage until we finish the basic infrastructure of power, water, and the sewerage treatment plant. It's scheduled po to be implemented starting November of this year, and hopefully po by 2021, if the Congress will give us the budget for the phase 2 of the power, we can provide power in the tourism areas. Magkaiba po kasi yung nabibigyan lang ng power ngayon, yung corporate campus lang po, where the online gaming operators will be located. But the other parts po of the economic zone, particularly the agri-aqua zone and the tourism area, are not yet connected po sa power. Thank you, Mr. Senator.
No question, further question, Mr. Chair.
Let me just ask, ano nangyayari doon sa agri-aqua ninyo?
Yung applicant po namin sa agri-aqua, they already completed the preliminary requirements. Pending application na lang po nila is sa Department of Environment and Natural Resources for their
Picture
ECC.
of their kwan. Anong aquatic culture? Ano? What are they?
Agri-aqua po, fish cages po, tilapia and bangus. It's about 300 cages po, because there is already a proclaimed fishery area by BIFAR, Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, inside the Kasiguran Sound. Ang nagiging problem lang po namin ngayon, Mr. Chair, is hindi pa po kasi lumalabas yung joint administrative order between the Department of Interior and Local Government and the Department of Agriculture. There is a pending issue as to whether it's the local government who will issue the fishing permit or the Aurora Economic Zone as an economic zone po. So until ma-issue po yung joint administrative order, APECO po cannot really issue any licenses in favor of these applicants. Doon lang po kami medyo nagtagal, Mr. Chair.
Doesn't your charter provide for that in cases of locators inside the PECO, that you will always have a say and that you cannot be TRO'd for bringing in investments or the kind of investments that you want to bring in?
Yes, it's included, Mr. Chair, but the problem po is the local government is citing the fisheries code. The 15-kilometer from the shoreline, ang contention po ng local government is they have the jurisdiction over the municipal waters. But on our side po, under our charter also, yung areas po.
And the APECO is a special law, right?
Yes, sir. Ang issue po kasi, sir, is not the land. The issue is the body of water.
You have control over the body of water. Isn't that part of your territory?
Ang nakalagay lang po sa meets and bounds.
Here there in the future, I hope, because you claim you are the gateway from the Pacific. Eventually, I suppose in your vision, you'll want to put up a pier so that goods coming in from America can actually go direct to the Pacific, to the Philippines by way of that. And of course, again, I'm sure I'll evoke a smile from my good friend Frank Dillon when we start talking about our joint vision with Senator Angara, and I'm sure you share that vision, to put in a canal between Atimonan going to the West Philippine Sea. But in the meantime, your goal eventually as a Freeport is to utilize your water, your body of water, so that you can get ships to bring and unload cargo there. And the goal of the airport is also to enhance that. But it will take a long time for you to do that. Don't you? What do you think are your options, therefore? You are a Freeport and special economic zone, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Do you know the difference between a Freeport and a special economic zone? You can operate as a special economic zone.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Which means you can bring in factories.
Yes, Mr. Chair, but the APECO po was created only for light industries, not for heavy industries.
Well, nonetheless.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are gearing towards attracting technology companies, electronics, but not heavy industries like steel. Mr. Chair.
I said you're going to get steel. I just
yes, Mr. Chair.
Anyway, I just want to remind the committee that the APECO has been given a total of 365 million pesos from 2016 to 2020. And of course, the infrastructure that has been conducted on the road to APECO, largely to the efforts of our good friend Senator Ricardo Angara, was to allow highways to be connected to connect Quezon and Aurora are very difficult areas. That's why infrastructure is important. Now you're saying you're going to create power, but the power that you want to create, like you said last year, is an underground power, which is good. But how long do you think you're going to do that? And how long can you not get a locator to do the power?
Mr. Chair, what we are building are just the connection lines, underground power lines. But even if we complete stage 1 and stage 2 of the power lines, we don't have enough supply of power because, as we said, we are considered as island or off-grid. We are being powered by diesel generator 1 megawatt from Napocor. And we are not yet really connected 100% from the National Grid Corporation, Mr. Chair.
So you're a land area pretending to be a Freeport and a special economic zone because you're saying, huh?
Yes, Mr. Chair. But
That's not funny. I mean, I think you should try and make an effort, like the previous in LIDAC, you know, they're agency of the government pretending to be a very important agency, but with the budget of 4 million, you have been given 365 million, pero hanggang ngayon wala pa. And actually, you should really work harder. I don't think you'll last long. And you better pray that Senator Esmeña does not run again because he really does not like you. But I mean, Senator Dillon, I don't know. I won't try to speak for Senator Dillon. He's a mind of his own. But we want to make sure that the Pacific side, particularly that area, will be developed because talagang ganun eh. Merong matrikula na tinatawag para kumandar, no? And depende yan sa leadership. Now, try to be more impressive next time because you have 3 companies, sabi nyo, coming and one is about to operate. Ano yung gagawin ng isang company na sinasabi nyo?
the other one po is a B2B company or business to business company. It's more of a BPO. Para po siyang
BPO also.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we will provide the technical facilities to online gaming operators. So ito po yung mga may live studio table and then binebenta po niya yung live feed video niya sa mga online operators.
You know, there are many things you can do. You can go joint venture. You can ask Beraldo to come in.
We are in the process po, Mr. Chair. Meron pong nagsasubmit sa amin ngayon modular type of power, 1 megawatt, and then if the demand rises, and then mag-add po siya ng panibagong 1 megawatt.
Let me warn you. You have to really put some vision and some real hard work so that you will still have a future with some of the senators that support you. And I suggest you do it every day, 24 hours a day. Try to use all your talent, your skills to propagate that. It's hard to project a Freeport with one megawatt of power.
Diesel.
Diesel pa, magastos pa. You might want to go to Iloilo and learn from Senator Dillon how to get Korean money for your power, because he's building a superpower collectivity there, and he's gotten a lot of investments from Korea. But he was given the medal from Japan, and I'm really impressed with him. Di ba? Ano yung medal mo from Japan, Frank?
Hindi ko ma-pronounce eh.
That's the Emperor's medal.
Yeah, that's the Emperor's medal.
It's a very high medal. I mean, I would love to have one, but you know,
I cannot pronounce. It's in Japanese. Basta nandyan yan.
ay
No,
kayo mabuti. Why did
Senator Sotara was also given the same medal. Rising Sun.
That's right.
That's also given.
It was a very good book that I shared with Ed Angara when we were in the CONCON, The Rising Sun.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good book, very thick one. But let me advise Apeco, we are friendly to you, but you have to make sure that you're focused, you're fast, and you can be flexible and forward-looking. But so far, the effort is not really taking hold. No? So a suggestion is you tie up with AFAB, you tie up with, after all, you're all in Central Luzon. That's the whole purpose of the RICH bill, to put together all the Freeports in the area and jointly advertise, jointly promote it when you go abroad or when you go through online. You can do that. You have a choice, right? And then you can say what you need. And a lot of companies will be looking for investments after COVID. If we ever leak COVID in the world, you should be prepared for that. And not even prepared for that. You should be doing your advertising now. Because I think that the vision is not yet clear. one thing to say, you're going to be a Freeport and a special economic zone, but you know, when the Panama Canal was built, everybody laughed at everybody, and they had to do it for so many years until Teddy Roosevelt continued it. So, having said that, Mr. President, for pity's sake or for sympathy's sake, and out of faith in the Filipino, faith in Aurora, the chair will now entertain a motion with all the caveats involved, including the COA repost to be made by you, that you are able to come up with a program. And as a part of my committee on government corporations, be assured that I will call you from time to time from now on to bird dog your activities there. The chair
Yes,
will now entertain. Yes.
We second that motion to endorse the budget of APECO, subject to the submission and planning projections required by my chairman.
That is your motion, Iha, no? Di ba, Amy?
Okay, yes, that's my motion. Because I heard the chairman say that he moved.
No, I was asking somebody to move because the chairman should not be making motions.
Second the motion.
Thank you.
Thank
you very
you,
much.
and thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you po. Thank you.
Same is
Yes.
approved.
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No, parting message lang. You better do something that can make the committee really seriously consider any increases in the budget next year. Otherwise, my chairman, Senator Gordon, will call in Senator Osmeña to examine your budget.
Okay po.
You know,
Kunin nyo.
Thank you po. Thank you po. We'll do that. We will do that.
make sure, Mr. Madukdok. Thank you. Okay.
Yes po. We will do that po. And I'll, one of these days, I'll consult with you, Mr. Senator.
Well, you'll have to go through Senator Dodon because she accepts my lawyer's fees and consultancy fees for me. And I think it's a very hefty fee. But anyway, yeah, I'd be open. I mean, I believe in the concept. I think there is a future there, but we just have to work harder. Okay, it's hard, but you know, I've never used hard as an excuse for not being able to get the job done. There is no objection, so the chair now deems that the budget of APECO is approved and can now be brought to the committee, to the plenary, for its approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much po. Thank you po.
Thank you. We shall now go to the budget of AFAB. Now, I suggest you stay behind and watch AFAB because AFAB was a lost cause. It was a Freeport, special economic zone built. And like Aurora, they had to build a highway, what is now called the NLEX. President Marcos built that highway. So impressed with it when I was a kid. And it went all the way to Mariveles, which is really, really exciting at that time. I think when I was in Accra, I was even made president of one of the companies there, Nobel Philippines. And of course, nominal lang yon. But anyway, AFAB, I will recognize the people over here. Engineer Emmanuel Pineda has been doing a good job. Maria Lourdes Herrera, Deputy Administrator for Support Services. Can you raise your hand? Are you there? No, that's Miss Lourdes Herrera. Is she there?
Chair. Mr. Chair, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Deputy Herrera is to my seated to my right,
Yeah.
but she cannot be seen from the. Okay, we're showing her.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, can you inform the committee who are the people of AFAB who are here? We're not in a location. We are in the internet, so you are everywhere. Go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon again to the chairman and the honorable senators Marcos and Drilon. For AFAB, we have with us our department managers for planning, Ms. Chris Rodrigo, for finance, Mr. Charles Ramones, for budget, Ms. Gladys Seraja, our planning expert specialists, Sunshine Policarpio, and my Head Executive Assistant, Ms. Ann Ramirez. Good afternoon, and we're ready to present, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed. Says, make it brief because we want to ask you substantial questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Pineda. Chairman Pineda. General Manager Pineda, no? Or Chairman and Administrator.
Mr. Chair,
Do you have a presentation?
yes, it's being shared now, Mr. Chair.
Please go ahead.
Okay, we'll do away with the. We just want to show some of the highlights of our performance for the previous year, for the current year, I mean. We now have 97 operating registered enterprises, but due to the pandemic, the number of operating enterprises went down to 34 in April.
Wow.
But they're now back to 73 as of June. So far as the cumulative actual investments are concerned, from the commitment, cumulative committed investments of 149 billion, we have already realized 64% of it as of June of 2020 of this year. Total actual investments Do you have the figure there? The cumulative 97.69 cumulative actual investment as of June 2019. And for employment, before the pandemic, we have almost 44,000 workers, 42,000 workers, more than 42,000 workers. As of end of June, we have 26,330 out of the 76 or 73 operating companies. The difference represent workers which have been put on forced leave, and the others have been retrenched. Around 3,000 of them were retrenched as the effect of the pandemic.
Go ahead.
So for the value added, value created out of a total for this year, out of a total 244 million worth of imports, we exported a value of 244 million out of importation of 128, creating a net value of 118 million. These figures are significantly lower than those of last year's because one, this is just for the middle of the year as of June 30, and of course, we also have the significant impact of the pandemic. We have been handling port operations when we started to register our first commercial port, private commercial port, and it has been already a source of some revenues for us, and we have already total port calls of 390,000 metric tons of volume handled as of June of this year, representing almost 200,000 metric tons of volume for the month of June alone. We are regulating 4 ports. These are private ports that are being constructed by our registered locators, namely the EPIR Investments Holdings, GN Power Dinginin, Sea Asia Nectar Port Services, and the Seafront Townsite Corporation.
Excuse me,
Yes,
anong nature ng trabaho?
Yes,
Anong ito EPIR Investments Holdings? What are they into? They're investment holdings.
that's the name of the holding company, but their activity is development and operation of an economic zone in Bataan, Maribeles.
Okay.
And they are putting up their own power plant and port as well to complement their the production and the operations of their would-be locators.
All right. And when do you expect that to be finished?
The their timeline for the locators will be by end of next year. They are currently putting up the first unit of their power plant, and they're already developing the area for making it ready for the construction of factory buildings or warehouses by their prospective locators.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So for our proposed budget allocation, which will be as before, purely for the capital in expenditures for infrastructure projects, we're proposing for 191.26 million, representing 3 projects, namely under Tier 1, the usual standard factory building, and we're upgrading our power distribution system. We have started laying underground cabling, and we are continuing on with this proposal for another 60 million for the construction of underground cabling for our electrical distribution system. And for Tier 2, we are proposing for another 3-story building having 3 floors with a total of 15, 45 rooms. They will be benefiting 288 workers, as we intend to have 6 workers per room for the dormitory, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are you done?
Okay. The rest will be just the details of the projects and our accomplishments for the previous years. But if you would want us to proceed with those.
No, yeah, we want to know what's going on. You are showing us a map that which ones are being built in those areas. Are you?
Yeah. So this map shows. Ano ba yan? Pero mismo na. This map shows the proposed factory building, SFB, Standard Factory Building number 18. And these are the proposed underground cables situated in phase 1 of our industrial area.
In other words, Administrator Pineda, you're saying that you're building standard factory buildings for a quick start, right? So that when the investor comes in, he can just select the number of square meters.
Yeah. Yeah, this would be available for those who are just starting up, and once it was our experience that once they see viable operations, they start to lease a property and put up a building of their own.
But the standard factory buildings are to provide space for those who are coming in so that they can have quick start, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
I was saying that for the benefit of the Aurora APECO people, and I'm going to suggest that like I said, you can get a locator that will provide power. And I find it novel that you are leasing space for a special economic zone, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Well, I think Aurora should listen to you. Anyway, go ahead. Are you done?
The next slide shows the location of the proposed economic housing dormitory for workers. We have completed EH1 and 2. EH number 3, EH5 with the DPWH implementation was actually funded by the good chairman. So we thank you for that. And our proposal now is to have EH3 and 4.
No, that was part of the government
Actually, Mr. Chair, EH4 would be our additional request for possible congressional insertion, again with your support.
Yeah. And anyway, that is one of the reasons why in the REACH bill we propose that investors bring in housing, because like in APECO or even in Subic, we still need housing for our people. And anybody who builds an industrial park like this, like you're doing, I guess we have been talking for a long time with the Garcias, and you've taken it to heart that para mabilis talaga, we can provide housing for the employees. So bawas sa gastos sa pamasahe, bawas sa the morale is higher because they can have a take-home pay that is better. So I congratulate you for this, and I just want to make clear that all of us senators, we try to get money for our constituencies, which is the Republic of the Philippines, the citizenry, so that our job is to create infrastructure that will create in turn jobs. And I'm happy that you are able to do that, although you have a significant reduction. Can I call the other senators now for their questions? Senator Frank, are you still there? Well, Frank is getting a liquidity break.
Okay.
Go ahead, Senator Amy.
Yes, just quickly. What's the total contribution? Medyo nalito ako dun sa cumulative investment mo eh. What's the total contribution? Simple lang. Yung binigay ng gobyerno versus yung dividendo at tax collection sa inyo. Medyo positive na ba o hindi?
Positive.
Positive since 2013, Ma'am Senator, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so positive na kayo since 2013. Ilang taon? How long did it take? Para may measure lang tayo.
We took over from the former Bataan Economic Zone under PESA in middle of 2010.
Okay.
So by 2013, we were already able to remit a 12.6 million dividend to the national government.
That's minus the budgetary allocation for that year.
No, ma'am. This is the net.
That's the problem eh. Hindi, minus the budgetary allocation.
Actually, Mr. Chair, the budgetary allocation we get is only for the infrastructure projects. We are
Hindi, pero that's still considered investment. Infrastructure investment pa rin yun.
Yes.
So ano yung ROI ng gobyerno sa inyo? Kasi malaki yung investment, may kinikita kayong konti, pero ihahambing doon sa capital expenditure.
Yeah, this is
okay
the.
Ba tayo?
We're showing, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, Madam
Okay.
Senator, the return on equity starting 2010, year to year. The first slide is from 2010 to 2015. So it shows the remittance to national government and
That's right.
the equity received from the national government. So it shows return of equity increasing from 1% in 2010 to 24% in 2015. And the next slide shows that our actual return on equity for 2020 is 65%.
Okay, pero hindi pa tayo bayad sa equity. Ilang taon bago mabalik, ma-ROI na totoo? Anong projection ninyo? Kasi kung 65 ngayon, kailan mo 100%?
Our finance guy is running the figures.
In the meantime, I know that in the meantime, last year, you decreased the minimum capital investment, di ba? To 75,000 US. Pagkatapos, you also expanded the territory. Tama ba yon last year? Yung RA 11453?
That's correct, Mr. Chair, Madam Senator. The law was approved signed by the President in August 30 last year. But what we have completed the IRR, and we're just starting to register applicate or receive applications for expansion areas.
I see. But pre-COVID, may interest naman.
Yes. There we have received already five applications for Freeport expansion areas. And
Okay. May pogo ba kayo?
wala, ma'am.
Wala rin kayo, oo. Not even off grid or outside your territory na mga lisensya?
We do not issue outside jurisdiction territories, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
All right. So wala pang nababalik dun sa 18,000 retrenched workers or forced leave workers? You think the 18,000 net loss in jobs is irretrievable? That's irreversible? Talagang nawala na yun?
Most of those that have reduced their operations are still hoping to get new orders, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, Madam Senator. But that's why currently they are not retrenching as of yet. They just put their work on forced leave.
Yes, but you said 3,000 have already been retrenched.
Yeah, because out of 44,000, there are only around 20,000 working now. So 18,000 are on forced leave, and around less than 3,000 were retrenched.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Antayin ko na lang yung ROI ninyo kung anong taon. Wala lang, para may good news naman kami ngayong hapon. Thank you.
We're looking at Mr. Chair, Madam Senator. We're looking at 5 years. 5 years for the 100% return on equity.
5 years. That would be what year?
2026, 2025, 2025.
Okay. Thank you very much. At least may direction tayo. Thank you.
Thank you. May direksyon talaga yan. Perhaps Senator Marcos would care to see again yung total employment generated from 2010 to 2020, and then I will ask for the reduction. Can you show the slide on the 2010 since I sponsored this bill in 2009 and it was finally approved in 2009, and they started in 2010. You can even go back to the previous PESA. Do you have that? in 1972, it shut off like a house on fire. And now it went down and then it went up again. 2010, we had 12,777. 2011, 12,009. And then 2012, I'm just saying this because the arguments last night are apropos to this, no? Because we created it to a Freeport, the investment is the investment in infrastructure, the legal infrastructure of having a Freeport. That is, you can see it climb up to 42,000 by 2020. In fact, to 43,000 at its highest, no? And as the administrators told us, it has gone down to 26,000 with 3,000 permanently retrenched, and about another 18 to 19,000 that have been obviously in the cooler for a while until people will start buying the export products of AFAB. Would that be correct, Administrator?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
I'm only citing that to make sure that when we go to the floor,
Yes.
this should be emphasized, because this is the impact of incentives, infrastructure, good management, all this combined to make our country a lot more attractive to foreign investors and domestic investments. And that's why I was passionately arguing for AFAB, APECO, and all that, because I think rather than diminish the incentives, we should not be shackled by legal impediments that are based on theory. The point is, if we change, as we did the law here, and made it into a Freeport, it went up, and I'm sure it's going to get back up the moment the COVID is licked. No? So I just wanted to point it out. Senator Drilon, do you have questions? You have to unmute, Frank. Senator, you have to unmute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Can we go back to the previous slide on return of equity?
Yeah. The Administrator, please return to return on equity.
Yes, yeah. Just for my education, when you say equity received from the NG, that's a budget item. Is that how I understand it?
Those are GAA, the budget.
Yes. Under what item would that appear? Assistance to GOCCs? Under what? How is that described in the GAA, sir?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, Mr. Senator, it's assistance to
GOCC.
Assistance to GOCCs. And that's your operating expense?
No, sir. These are purely for capital infrastructure projects.
Okay. Now, would budgeted infrastructure programs be part of this? No.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mm-hmm.
It's purely
It's all infra.
Purely infra. Okay. And when you say remittance to NG, these are profits?
Sir, there are three components there. Our taxes we pay to the BIR, and then the dividend given 50% of the net profit, and also the 3% share from the 5% GIE.
Okay. So that's the share of the taxes. What are the components again? The share of the taxes, the GIE,
The dividends.
And then the profit.
and then yeah.
Yeah. This slide shows the breakdown Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Mm.
Did you include there what you give the local government?
It's there because 3%. 1% to local government, 1% to the province, 1% to national government.
Mm.
There you go.
But for purposes of reporting remittances to the government, you lump up the three. Is that correct? Or only the one to the NG?
We lumped up the 3 for the 3%.
Right.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Yes.
With the permission of Senator Ron, just to add to it, you don't count pa, hindi nyo kina-count yung economic impact. Halimbawa, to the various towns, di ba? They were able to pay income taxes, they were able to do a lot of businesses there. Is that be correct?
Yeah, these are just the direct impact, Mr. Chair, Your Honor. If we count those, if I may just mention, just for Maribeles, the amount of business taxes collected every year multiplied by 10 when we converted the Bataan Economic Zone into the Freeport. So from 11 million to more than 110 million business permit.
How many locators do you have?
We have 97 registered enterprises, out of which right now 73 are operating as of June.
And how do you look at it as we go along for the year? Will the remaining 24 come back or not? Or resume operations?
We're optimistic that most of them, if not all of them, will be able to resume operations. We have had a visit from the code team last Tuesday, and we share and we appreciate, welcome the direction that we just have to live and dance with the virus, and just make it part of the new normal. Just wear protective mask, face shields, and observe protocols, but we do what we need to do for business sake.
Yeah, just I'll ask you something which is unrelated to what you presented. When I was a practicing lawyer, there used to be a lot of labor problems in the Bataan Export Zone Authority. How is it today? How is the industrial relations situation there? Do you have labor disputes, or has it been a stable industrial relations in the AFAB?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I would like to personally state that compared to the previous situation before, we are now significantly more stable in terms of industrial peace and labor relations are concerned. For one, the AFAB charter provided for a labor center which directly addresses the concerns and issues of workers, and we make our presence felt. Although we also have the office of the Department of Labor and Employment right inside our admin building, but we made it a standard procedure that workers should first report to the AFAB all their complaints and concerns so that we can handhold them, and even based on experience, make it resolve the issues even before they are able to file cases under the DOLE and the NLRC. In terms of employment, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, as of August of this year, we have 72% regularization already.
So, have you had, what about industrial disputes like strikes or slowdowns? Have you had your own share of this recently, Mr. Administrator?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the most that happened is there has been uh, many attempts, several attempts to have certification elections for new labor unions. We inherited nine, nine labor unions from the PESA, but up to now there has not been any new union that has been recognized. But there are very shall we say, passionate attempts to set up in the new companies that have registered under the APAB. But we are promoting direct and close collaboration among the workers and the management. And we provide the education campaign on the pros and cons of having this organized labor. And we're hopeful that we can maintain this, especially now we also enrolled under the JIPCO program of the PNP and DOLE.
Okay, yes. I'm glad to hear that because, harmonious employer-employee relationship is a very critical consideration for many prospective investors. They look at the situation and see if they can operate peacefully, and they're turned off by, inability of the government to resolve disputes. So I'm glad that this is attended to by the administration, by the administrators of AFAB, and we'll continue to monitor this particular aspect, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Yeah. Yeah, just another question, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Is there much discussion in AFAB on the CREATE bill? And can you give us an assessment of how this is viewed and what's the sentiment of our locators in AFAB and PESA?
To sum it up all, Mr. Chair, Your Honors, we have had many consultations with our locators in partnership with the Locators Association. And we are also in consultation with the other investment promotion agencies. The general sentiment is why fix if it is broke? But we just still want to make our statement that while we support the trust of the CREATE bill to have a performance-based and time-bound system of granting and accordance of incentives, we are still appealing that for the sake of the AFAB experience, that we consider that incentives really play a great role in attracting and ensuring the sustainability of investments and the creation of jobs. If you may allow me, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, Bataan, for one, is at the tip of the peninsula. So if we look at a uniform set of incentives, nobody will dare go to Bataan because they would, before they reach Bataan, they would have already located in the prestigious Freeports and economic zones of Clark and Subic. And before they reach the tip of the peninsula, if they will be accorded the same set of incentives anyway, so I don't think it would be quite an attraction for would-be investors. So another concern we have, if I may speak again freely, Mr. Chairman, Your Honor, is that the proposed FRIB would revert the APAB into its original situation when it was still under the PESA, meaning there's another layer of bureaucracy on top of the local APAB board. So that's one reason why under the PESA, there has not been any significant growth. There has always been a decline in terms of jobs and investments in the Bataan Economic Zone. And it was the very reason why the local officials filed a bill to convert it into an Freeport and special economic zone, which we are very thankful, supported by all of you and co-authored by Senator Gordon, the chairman. It paved the way for many investments to investors to locate. And from 12,000 workers, we now have, we reached 44,000 workers. And had it not been for the pandemic, this would have been a continuous increase anyway. But honestly, we could have had brought in many more investors and created more jobs if there were no apprehensions regarding the impending revisions on the incentives regime. So those are the concerns we would like to convey. Again, we would like to say that we are all for a time-bound and performance-based incentives management, but uniform incentives would be, I think, would be fair for everybody and equitable for everybody. If every zone or every Freeport has a complete set of infrastructure requirements, they have their own. All of them have access roads, railways, seaports, airports. But if some have those and the rest, like us, have less, it would be unfair if we will have the same set of incentives, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yes. Anything else? That's very educational. Those are good points that you've made of record. Well, thank you very much. Senator Gordon, yes. So we return the chair to you, to the floor, to the chair.
Senator Gordon, should we move for the passage of the APAP bill and its endorsement to the Mother Committee?
Just give me a couple of questions.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you were signaling.
Expand on what on the empirical experience and the empirical knowledge that we just gained and we've learned for the last so many years. I would imagine that now there is damage caused by COVID. You know, down to from 97, you lost 36 locators. Employment dropped from 42,000 to 26,000. And if we come out with this new proposal, we have an FIRB, and remember, madugo yan sa PESA, di ba? Nung ayaw ng PESA, inaaway ako ng PESA nung ginawa natin yung bill na yan. Pero we persisted and said, no, we'll give it a zone like Subic. And we, as you said earlier, zoomed up, no? So my point is, we have to have a continuity of policy. And it is my hope that when we sponsor this on the floor, we will cite your experience para ma-realize ng iba na it's that we cannot just change on whim and caprice or founded on wishes, but we are going to improve our situation. Now, do you have debts to pay sa National Treasury?
Yeah, we do, Mr. Chair. We have the JICA loan we inherited from the PESA.
And how much was that originally?
430 million.
And now, and that accumulated interest pa?
About 40 million accumulated interests, Mr. Chair.
And now you've been able to pay it, or is still paying?
We have paid 150 million, 100 million in 2016 and 50 million in 2017.
Mhm.
But the board, during the discussion on the planning year end for 2017, planning for 2018, the board decided to seek guidance from OGCC and write to the Bureau of Treasury to appeal for the waiver of the penalties on the amounts that had outstanding balances. And we are also suggesting if they can consider offsetting against the outstanding receivables, because based on the charter that you co-authored, Mr. Chair, we are to receive uh, ano? 200, 500 million a year for the first 5 years. That's a total of 2.5 billion. But as we speak, we only received a little over 1 billion.
You're lucky you received. You're actually lucky you received something. Subic,
941 million, Mr. Chair.
well, almost a billion.
Yes. So we're proposing if we can just offset against that equity.
Well, you'll have to do it smartly, because even with the tourism bills that we made, TIESA, they have not been upfront in providing the necessary support so that we could get more. It seems that we make laws, but the national government sometimes have a tendency not to implement them, and that's useless. That makes us very, very helpless, and you and the people down the bottom rung are always affected. Instead of generating more jobs, we go into other problems such as payment of debts. But then that's part of life. Uh, uh, do you have projects that are currently delayed because of that?
Because of, Mr. Chair, we have...
Because the government has not given you your 500 million a year, and your government has not...
yeah.
Something funny?
Yeah, actually, you have mentioned that the impact on the community is that because of the exponential growth rate of the jobs created, there has been a very dire need for housing. So that's why we're zooming in, focusing on the housing dormitory projects. In fact, I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair, that if you will be allowing us to make a wish, we're asking for another congressional insertion for another dormitory, similar to the one that you provided last year.
Sorry. Let's put it this way. Definitely, those who produce should get more. That's the Michael Jordan theory that I concocted. That when somebody is making points, instead of being lazy, you pass the ball to him so he can make more points. But in this regard, my question is, we are a team. In Central Luzon, we have now Subic, Seaport, Freeport, Clark Freeport, and Mariveles Freeport, our APAB, no? APAB, no? And all of them have done gangbusters, right? So if we include Aurora can be assisted if we go out and say we must break out from these seaports and airports and freeports so that we could influence the whole of Central Luzon and eventually the whole country. There are many, many land areas that are still undeveloped, and if we if we put together our efforts using the maximization of infrastructure, including the highway, the railroad, the soon to be developed, and the Freeport regimes in this area, you can imagine that. What do you say to that? It's actually the rich bill that I'm trying to tell you. Do you think that is better than what is today? That instead of just focusing locally, that you can expand faster. It's just like the Freeport of Hong Kong, founded in 1842. And then they went to Kowloon, and then they went to the new territories. And then Shenzhen copied them, and Shenzhen has been the most successful special economic zone in the whole world. Do you think that this is a better idea rather than the Lord, there's a theory, the Lord give it, the Lord take it. In this particular case, wala nang binigay ang national government, inayos na natin mga locals, pagkatapos babawasan pa tayo at papayarapan pa tayong makakuha ng investments dahil binabawasan pa yung incentives na bibigyan natin. Do you agree with that? It's a leading question.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Mr. Chair. In fact,
you have good judgment and good taste.
in fact, we commend your proposal to have the Central Luzon corridor and create the reach. I've read the latest draft that's being formulated by the TWG, and I'm very pleased to note that the results of the committee hearings when we went around the various provinces of Central Luzon during the last Congress, it's already there that the reach will just be a coordination. It will be a coordinating body to synchronize the development plans and the promotions of the IPAs within its corridor. And I think together and united, we have a better chance, Mr. Chair.
That's correct, because there will be more land area, more ports to use, more roads that have been built that will be maximized, and the seaport, the cargo between Central Luzon can come out of Subic and Mariveles. Railroad, you can pass through the backside of Subic to use the railroad that will end up in Subic. So the whole point is maximization. All right.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to put it in the record so that when we go on the floor, we can cite all these things. In the meantime, let me just say also that I'd like to congratulate all of you. By the way, let me correct you. I was the principal sponsor of that bill. I was not a mere co-author. True, it came from the House, but we had to sponsor it on the floor. You had another sponsor, a good friend of mine, who asked me to continue it upon the request of Governor Garcia, because there was so many people against it. If you will recall, the creation of a Freeport and a special economic zone in Mariveles was opposed. Hinaharang, di ba? May mayor pa sumisigaw doon ng mga panahon na yun. And yet, even on the floor, you can ask your governor, he was lobbying for it. We had a hard time trying to convince the future president of the Philippines, Benigno Aquino, to approve it. And in the Senate, and we had strong interpretations made by Senator Biazon, even Senator Enrile, to test our metal, the metal of the Freeport that we were proposing. And aren't we glad that we got it done, right? So now the last question I want to make is the so-called super committee that will be put up, FIRB. I hate this mnemonic devices, alphabet soup, I call it. They will be second guessing everyone. Right? I don't know. Walang magawa yung mga tao sa taas eh. Umaandar na yung local sa baba, haharangin pa nila sa taas. APECO needs help. They should be able to help them. And I think the Rich Bill will help APECO. Sama-sama tayo. So, what is the position of the investors on the another layer? I think you said that earlier when you said kaya nyo inalis nga, nakiusapan tayo na inaway pa ako ng kaibigan ko, pero nagbati naman kami kagad. Nasabi ko, trust me, I think it will work. and that is the PESA. Na tinanggalan natin ng layer so that the people of Bataan can directly govern their future, right? So, to my mind, it's always been the fact that when national government intervenes and doesn't allow business to do what it does best, which is business, and if the local governments or the local community support initiatives such as this, we will be successful. I was tempted to speak English the way a Chinese friend of mine used to say, if you continue to invest in Subic, we will success. Ano sinasabi niya ng araw.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's not in the way you speak English, but the proof of the pudding is in the successful implementation of Clark, which tayo rin ang gumawa ng Freeport niyan, tinanggal nila yung Freeport, at binalik natin yung Freeport sa law, hindi umalis yung mga investors doon, and then yung kayo, in-adjust natin yan. So really, we have to continue doing so. Let me just end by congratulating all of you in the Freeport and the AFAB, and continue
Thank
to
you,
march.
sir.
This is a temporary setback, and I think you should really be more, your leaders should really start asserting themselves on the threat that this new bill might create, rather than makatulong. Baka it might become going a step away from the cliff instead of stepping towards a fall from the cliff. So, Senator Marcos, do you have a motion that I will now be ready to entertain?
Yes, now the motion is timely that we endorse the Bataan Freeport AFAB budget to the Mother Committee of Finance. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no objection to that. And so we congratulate you based on that authority. Now, based on the approval, we can now bring it to the Mother Committee for its perusal and approval, and then it can go down to the plenary where we can now sponsor it. Thank you very much, AFAB, and all
Thank
of
you very much.
I
Thank
hope
you very
APECO
much.
was listening. I think SBMA was also listening. And with that, I think we can now develop. For the information of, I mean, I'm sure she's informed about it. There's a whole lot of history between President Marcos when he created the Freeport of I really salute him for all these initiatives that turned out to be very good, even if there's a lot of criticisms. You know, that's the way life is. But nonetheless, the special economic zone has been resuscitated. Tama yung sinabi ni Frank Dillon kanina na talaga nagkaloko-loko dahil there are so many disruptions in the past. And now it's a tribute to all those who envisioned it, that all these things are working now together. We shall now go to FBMA. Pag wala na tayong trabaho, SBMA na tayo. Sa bahay muna ako. Wala tayong trabaho ngayon sa opisina. Hindi tayo makapag-opisina. I mean, nandito tayo sa TV, kaya sa bahay muna tayong lahat. Sa bahay muna ako. Chairman Esmay, are you there? Ready? You are there, no? Please introduce the people who are going to be answering questions here, and then proceed to your budget. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Gordon, Senator Drilon, and Senator Amy Marcos, thank you very much for the opportunity. Present in our boardroom right now are three of my senior deputy administrators for support services, for Seaport, and for business and investment. To go straight to the point, my dear senators. Senior Deputy Administrator Ramon Agregado for Support Services, Senior Deputy Administrator Mar Sankey for Seaport and Airport Operations, Senior Deputy Administrator Renato Lee for Business and Investment, sir.
Okay. Please proceed. Yes, I'm going to ask you about the airport later on. Better be ready.
Yes, sir. Sir, if you'll allow us some background.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Lance?
Says. Speed is the name of the game.
Yes, sir. I'm just waiting for the slides, sir. So, sir, just very quickly, a quick background. As you know, we are the first free port in the country, as which you've spearheaded in 1991 with the passage of RA 7227. And go ahead. Go ahead. So right now, sir, our total is we actually have 1,691 locators with a total cumulative investment of 10.79 billion total in foreign and domestic investments. As of June 30, 2020, we have 138,110 workforce. Sir, this is already because when the bases were here, we only had 30,000 employees working in the US bases. So you can imagine we are now 108,000 more than when the bases were here.
So we
There
have
were some
35,000 employees then, and half of them were contractual practically, but the regular employment at that time was about 28,000. But go ahead.
Yes, yes, sir. So, but then due to COVID, sir, we also lost a little bit some of those employees. The numbers that you saw were as of June. We've lost around 2,738 employees or employment numbers because of COVID, either through a retrenchment or shortening of hours. And one of the difficulties, sir, especially when the maritime industry closed, a lot of our raw materials that are supposed to come from other countries, particularly China, even if there was a demand for the products of our manufacturer here, some of those raw materials were not able to come in. That's why some of our manufacturers were forced to put some employees on forced leave while waiting for those raw materials.
Okay, let me just intervene for a while. If I may, are you making an adjustment there because China is going to be less and less, ravenous about our exports? But there's a shift in the investment climate. Some are going to Vietnam and Indonesia. That's why the need for the region to at least be able to go because we have complete facilities. And now with the Bulacan Airport coming up in about 5 years or 10 years, or probably less than that, Clark, Subic, and Manila airports, the Clarks, the seaports at Subic, Mariveles, and Manila, we should be able to make the adjustment, right?
Yes, sir. Rich would be perfect because now this is an area for expansion for all the us Freeports. Because as you already know, we have been in place for the last 28 years. There's not a lot of room to grow. In terms of land, so Rich is really very important because it connects us and it will make the usefulness for our seaport and the maximization of the use of our seaport and our airport. But I just want to
may I intervene again, just for the benefit of our colleagues here from the Senate? The airport has been out of commission since we left, especially when FedEx left, right? I was there when FedEx arrived. I got them in, but when they left, I was there also. Tears in my eyes because that was a very, very strong turning point. I thought it was going to herald the new Philippines. But they left for China. The reality was China would be the investment manufacturing hub. This is what Central Luzon was once upon a time the rice granary of the Philippines, and I think Iloilo is already overtaken us even in agriculture. So same as rice. I'm not too sure about that. But anyway, my point is. With all the infrastructure that you have, is the airport operating now?
Sir, right now we're only operating visually. Right now we're operating visual flight. Yes, sir. Visual flight rules from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have been closely coordinating with the CAAP, and we do appreciate your help, sir, in talking with DGC Jonko because we need to get our RNAV published. The target for that, we had a meeting with the assistant of the Deputy Director General 2 weeks ago. The target is December 21 because COVID has delayed that target. With effectivity on March 2021. It is our hope that upon publication by March 2021, then we will now have nighttime capabilities because of that NARNAB publication. However, we continue
FedEx
to
is
be
moving
open.
back to Clark, not the hub.
Sir?
FedEx should be moving back to Clark. They're putting up a $30 million investment in Clark because I think they're really having a hard time with the host country that really practically demanded that they leave the Philippines and go to China. I think you remember that. But nonetheless, now they're coming back. Are you going to get a piece of the action from FedEx?
We are trying to get some action, not just from FedEx, sir, but also from other cargo companies. We are been trying to aggressively ask them to come over and look. Unfortunately, because of the COVID lockdown in February, there were some supposed scheduled ocular inspections already by including Philippine Airlines and some other cargo companies, but that was put on hold because of COVID. But now we are now trying to get back on track and have started reaching out to them again. Sir, our airport is operational and being utilized as a general aviation for the general aviation industry. Even during the pandemic, in fact, some
Some of the
outreach programs.
investors are complaining because they've been promising us that they will open it. The national government has been promising us that they will open it. And I don't know why they're taking their sweet time, especially now that we're on lockdown. I don't think we should use COVID as an excuse because we can actually work. We're working here
Yes, sir.
in spite of COVID. So that is a sacrilege to our country. We're a country pretending to be rich, like somebody said a while ago, way back. And we're still poor because of the lack of speed. You will recall you were my EA before when I coined the name, speed is the name of the game, when we got FedEx, but we were so slow. So the enemy of the Freeport, right? Enemy of free trade, bad bureaucracy, corruption, and other things. So if we get it approved by December, and hopefully we should try and uh, that's why we need LEDAC. We had LEDAC here. They should be lobbying for the approval of all this for the Freeport. What about the train? Is the train going to? Is the train being done? That's a short hop from Clark to Subic, and that's all cargo, right? I'm giving up something here. I hope my fellow senators will pardon me because I want to be able to continue the conversation with this. You're going to have a train. When is that supposed to start? Again, a lot of promises were made to us.
Sir, the program of the Subic Clark Railway it's actually a cargo railway. It's a program of the Basis Conversion Development Authority. Even until now, there has been a lot. What's ongoing right now are a lot of discussions because until now, sir, hindi pa na-finalize yung pag-layout ng railway itself because they are having problems on the slopes. Because there's a certain slope that can only be grade. Yes, I'm sorry. Certain gradient that a train can allow. So as far in the last 2 months, the Chinese consultants has been and BCDA has been sitting down with various stakeholders, including our locators and engineers, because sir, right now their proposed end station is near the airport. It's actually one of the concerns that I've raised personally with Vince Dizon, because with their proposal right now, they're effectively killing the airport if that continues. And Vince have committed to reconsider and to relook, because even the container terminal operator, SBITC, is not very happy that the end station will be near their site, and they are the primary customer. So that's really the concern, sir, right now. The primary customer of the cargo railway will have to be consulted on how the railway will end. Because right now,
So maybe we ought to have a meeting under the Government Corporations Committee and to invite the Transportation Committee, the Transportation Secretary, and the air authorities here, because we put up that airport, if you will recall, very very quickly, and it was very fast, no? We built the airport, rebuilt the airport in 29 weeks, and we got cargo operations right there, and we had other airlines coming into our country at the time. The reason I'm laying the predicate, what I'm laying the predicate for, the train, the airport, the seaport, is because even if there is COVID now, we have logistics capability. If they're not getting the airport done, don't you think you should be preparing for building warehouses there so that prior logistics can be prepositioned in that area? Uh, and for the benefit of the committee, later on, I would like to show what they did in Hong Kong, which and I saw that in 2000 when I was still in Subic in 1990. I'm sorry, 1995, 1996, when Hutchison showed me their cargo center, which is about 700,000 square meters. And with your permission, I'd like to show it to the committee so that you can comment on that. In the meantime, we have all those igloos from the Naval Magazine that you can utilize for logistics. That's something that I've always wanted to do. And apparently we have not been there. Are you focusing on that?
Sir,
You
right
can have
now,
companies put their products there, so that by the time the airport is built, they will just order through Subic, take it out from the logistics hub, and send it. You don't have to import export all the time, but you can now put that those logistics in the igloos or in areas, so that we can now instantly deliver cargo, not in big bulk but in little parts, so that FedEx will want to come into Subic again.
those bunkers over at Naval Magazine are in fact being utilized precisely for those purpose. We have a little bit more vacant that we are trying to sell to prospective investors. There is also a lot of need for warehouse spaces. We are now considering some proposals for the marshalling yard, but I would like to emphasize that that's why it is important that the rest of Central Luzon be able to catch up, because we will have an airport ready, we have a seaport ready, and we have a lot of interest coming in, both for Bataan and Zambales and Clark and Subic. But there's really also a need for a lot of land that we hope that the Rich Bill can also address. Relevant, sir, to your earlier question on the Create Bill. On the Create Bill, sir, I would like to echo the sentiments of Chairman Emmy of Bataan. It is kind of difficult for us because earlier, sir, you asked a question in how do we propose to go actively campaign, especially with COVID and people or manufacturers leaving China. While, as you know, we have the passion and we have that strategy, it's a little bit hard for us to start talking about it just now because of the Create Bill, where we are changing the rules in the middle of the game. When they came in here during your term and the successive administration's term, to their mind, they're supposed to enjoy and the benefits infinitely. And now suddenly you're changing the rules in the middle of the game, as you have pointed out. Other Asian countries, our other Asian neighbors, are in fact improving even their incentives. So
I can still see, excuse me, Chairman,
sir.
I can still see the administrator of Bataan there. We call ourselves a Freeport, but in truth, we have not really maximized the virtue of a separate customs territory. We can now put all the logistics and not just manufacturing, because you're all acting as a special economic zone. But the beauty of the Freeport is the ability to move cargo, import, export to any place in the world, just as FedEx said before. And if we had gotten HIT, we could have that if we make it all the way up to Central Luzon, right? All that land will be available and the factories will come in. And the final objective is to make it a financial center as well, right? All of our areas that we call the Freeport, because you will have a lot more jobs for the lawyers, for the accountants, for many people, because once you have the financial center. Now, I will now ask you another question. This will be my last, and I will ask you questions later after Senator Didon comes in. I was just laying the predicate for these things. We lost again. We lost Hanjin. And if you will recall, Hanjin had a special arrangement like Texas Instruments on power. Is that correct?
During the administration of President Arroyo, when we were inviting Hanjin to come, they were given power subsidies at 5.2 billion pesos, sir.
And it was well worded at that time because Hanjin went up to about 30,000 employees at one time. Would that be correct? Or
yes, actually, sir, 33,000 between 2015 to 2017, sir.
And then all of a sudden, the vicissitudes of overexpansion. I don't know if it's overexpansion or some problems in management in that company force it to leave. They have a multi-billion dollar investment in Subic, and they have left. You will recall we gave an awful lot of support there because we built the platform. Before Hanjin came, we built the oil platform in Malampaya, and now Malampaya is also closing. And we built it, we got the contract in one day, right? Speed again was the name of the game with Shell. And once they finished, we gave it to Hanjin. The original vision was to move the city of Olongapo across the bay, and so that the expansion of the Freeport to Central Luzon can happen. But nonetheless, what are we going to do with Hanjin now?
Right now, a holding company called Cerberus is currently negotiating with the banks, with the debtor banks, with the creditor banks. And the business plan that was proposed or submitted by Cerberus to the receiver court, and they have now started reaching out to us, is that it's going to be a mixed-use facility. They will be subleasing those properties to various shipbuilding, ship repair related businesses, including the Philippine Navy, sir.
So when do you see that happening?
Sir, to be honest, we just had a call with them last night, and they are now rushing things, and they're hoping that we can finish, if not the end of the year, by first quarter of next year, sir.
Certainly, with those investments, if the railroad were to happen, and that area would have a lot of employment again, certainly it would have a multiplier effect in terms of attracting business towards the Philippines, particularly in Central Luzon as well, and maybe in other areas. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Especially, sir, that the intended or the white knight who's coming in and it's an American company with an Australian subsidiary, sir. So the reputation and the global backing that it has will definitely provide stability and a lot more, make us more attractive to other investors, sir.
Now going back to my previous one, I finally caught the Hong Kong International Terminals Limited, which was built way back in the 1980s, and you can see all these trucks coming from China, and all these containers coming from the seaport. The seaport of Hong Kong used to be the top, along with Singapore. Now it's number 5 or number 6. Would you be aware of that? In terms of movement of containers, right? Now it's a contest between Shanghai and Singapore. But it's just an example of what we're looking at in terms of container traffic going through the Freeport and being deposited in a 7-story building. Can you move the presentation? There, like that, where, for example, here, all the McDonald's meat is brought there, and they are distributed all in Southeast Asia, or even North Asia, if I'm not mistaken. And they have a operational center there. This is something that we wanted to build to complete the Hong Kong strategy in Subic. But again, because of changes and detours along the road, we can still do this within the Freeport or beyond the Freeport, if you will. So that, again, like what I was telling you earlier, if you now invite people to come down and make it a logistics hub, because everybody is confused when they say Freeport, gusto namin maging Freeport. The real meat of the pie is in the fact that you have the ability to move cargo real fast, and you have all these warehouses that have been put together, and so they can move in and out very, very fast. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir. The operations of the Freeport is really very important because investors will need access to that accessibility to the rest of the world so that their cargo can move efficiently. With the port as far as Manila, and it's so congested. The ports in both AFAB and Subic can work continuously and a seamless operation, sir, and will support.
Now, of course, if you start now, a strong signal has been made by one of the biggest companies in the Philippines, San Miguel Corporation, to Ramon Ang, they're going to build in Bulacan. Do you see it harming the Freeport regimes and the establishments that we have handled that were invited to Central Luzon? Certainly, it will be enhanced. Would you say so?
Yes, sir. Because it will be attractive to investors because they can move. As you said, speed is the name of the game. The faster that you can move your cargo and your people, the better. So with Clark Bataan, with Clark Airport, the Bulacan Airport, the Subic Airport, the Subic Seaport, and Bataan Seaport, it is a no-brainer that we can develop the whole of the Central Luzon and even probably Northern Luzon because of the logistics capabilities present in our area.
And now that there is that new highway that connects Southern Luzon from NLEX, would you say that helps investments come into our country for Southern Luzon and Northern Luzon?
Yes, sir. Again, mobility.
It's going to take 15 minutes to bring cargo from Balintawak all the way to outside to the international airport and to the doors of the there. You see that building? That is the building where all these containers are going to come in, and you can see hamburgers. I think this McDonald's hamburgers. They're going to this building, and it just contains so many thousands of containers are brought into that building, just waiting to get in and out. Now, going back to the previous statement that when this airport is finished, we should not remove all this. They call it the logistics center. We should not be removing all this from our arsenal, so that we can become. We should look good again, or we start looking good, so that we can invite investors, and that will now create impetus to a more robust Southern Luzon, Calabar Zone, a more robust Central Luzon, going up to Pangasinan, going out to the north, and certainly a model that can be utilized for the entire country. And that's why I asked this, because I think that has been the role of Subic, because we were able to prove that when everything was finished, after Pinatubo and after all the bases left, and there was a job, we were able to create, as you say, 138,000 jobs right now. And we've not even mentioned the influence of it in terms of surrounding areas like Olongapo, Subic Town, all the way up to the Zambales and Pampanga.
Yes, sir.
So on that basis, having shared the vision, I will now ask the members of the committee if they have any questions. Senator Drilon, please.
I have no question, Mr. Chairman. I'm just interested in the briefing being done.
Senator Drilon, if you'll allow me, we actually have industrial peace here. The labor center that was mentioned by Chairman Emmy Pineda was actually benchmarked with the Subic Bay Freeport as envisioned by Senator Gordon before. Senator Gordon at that time made sure that there's a labor center catering to all other labor problems. So we have had no incidents of strikes, sir, in our 29-year history.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Marcos?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just saw in the newspaper, I think a few days ago, the news that 2 workers were killed after a portion of a bridge under construction collapsed on the Subic Freeport Expressway. Ano nangyari?
Sir, ma'am, yan pong Subic Freeport Expressway is being widened. It's actually owned and operated by the North Luzon Expressway Company, NLEX. So sila po yung nagpapawiden nung highway. Nagkataon naman po na sa kasamaang palad, there was a steel, yun para pong the girders. Bumigay. Kaya po yung tubo po bumigay.
Okay.
Tapos po may natamaan pong 2 tao na namatay. One we can hardly recognize because of the weight of the beam, and then another also passed away. One from Zambales and one from Cagayan de Oro. Right now, ma'am,
Pero na-repair na, medyo safe na siya kasi sabi wala daw precautionary measures, wala daw railings, walang ilaw. Parang maraming comment na ganon.
Ma'am, yun ma'am kasing yung existing highway ma'am, wala ma'am tayong problema. Yung bumagsak ma'am, yung ginagawa nilang construction site ngayon.
Hindi, may komentaryo lang kasi na walang safety features, walang ilaw, walang signage, yung usual lang. So sana nalagyan na kasi pangit itong naririnig natin na may nadadali pa sa ganyan.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we are closely coordinating with the NLEX. In fact, ma'am, as soon as it happened, I, together with my fire department, was there immediately and coordinating with NLEX. They are now investigating exactly why the tuhod of the beam fell down. Sa construction, ma'am po, kasi ito, hindi po ito doon sa actual road.
No,
So,
I understand. Sanay na sanay kami sa NLEX, kaya kailangan binabantayan. Kasi kung minsan yung contractors and subcontractors cut corners with the safety precautions that cost a great deal.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Another question was merely your gas, general administration and support. Apakalaki naman yata ng 4.451 billion. What's the cost of this very large amount?
Gas? Teka, mama.
General administration and support. Laki siya 4.451 billion. Tama ba yun?
Ma'am, ipa-verify ko lang, ma'am. Ma'am, while my staff is trying to sort that out, I just want to, for the information of the honorable senators here, the Department of Budget and Management has approved we actually requested for 1.5 billion for various infrastructure projects. I just want to point out po na since time immemorial, we've never had any financial support from the national government. The equity, because kanina po narinig ko, tinanong niyo sa AFAB, ang binigay po sa aming parang starting equity ng national government, 19.1 billion in infrastructure and 900 million in cash. Mula po nung umalis si Senator Gordon hanggang noong 2017, never pong humihingi ang SBMA ng budget sa national government. Minabuti lamang po naming humingi starting 2017 sapagkat nung pagbalik ko po dito, yun pong mga daan na iniwan pa nung Amerikano, there was never any repairs since the Americans left. So, sira-sira na po yung mga daan. Nahihirapan po kaming i-maintain kasi po aspalto siya.
Itatanong ko nga yun, yung sa 1.5 billion na various infra request ninyo, kasama ba dyan yung pagre-repair ng mga piers? Kasi ang luma na daw, marami ng sira. Sa mga pier, kasali daw yun. Kasi medyo panahon pa ng Amerikano yun eh.
Hindi po. Actually, ma'am, we have been trying to get a budget for that. Kaya lang po, ma'am, kasi bago po kasi humingi ng budget, di po ba kailangan may design? So ngayon,
that's right, but 1.5 million, pero 1.5 billion, sana isama na ninyo yung mga pier kasi yun ang negosyo ninyo eh.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, meron ma'am kaming binadgetan locally for the design. And we're hoping na once matapos po yung design na yon, we can come back for the 2021, for the next budget para po mapondohan yung design. Hindi po kasi ako makahingi kung walang design na pwedeng maging basehan, hindi po tatanggapin ng DBM. So,
wala lang, keep lang top of mind kasi yung mga investor ninyo, yung airport at saka yung deteriorated piers ang minimension.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for that support, ma'am. We really do need we really do need to rehabilitate the various sports and see the various sports already. That's why we are now funding. SBMA is funding the design so that we can come back to the national government and get the funds for the rehabilitation of those sports. Ngayon, ma'am, part ma'am nung hiningi, yun ma'am, ang 1.3 billion ma'am ang hiningi namin. Ang binigay ma'am ng DBM, 600 million lang. Largely, lahat ma'am po ito, katuloy lamang of those existing projects that we already had since 2017, the road rehabilitation. Again, I go back to emphasize that these roads are the ones left by the Americans 29 years ago. So we've never had any investments there. Ngayon, ma'am, nagpagawa rin kami pinondohan din po ng SBMA ang isang drainage master plan. Because since the Americans left, nagbabaha na rin po kami bigla ngayon.
right.
Yun po ngayon ang hinihingan namin ng congressional insertion sapagkat hindi na po ni-recognize ng DBM yon. I want lang po as a support to our additional request for a congressional insertion, if you'll allow me, nabanggit ko nga po kanina, we were given 900 million in cash as equity. Magmula po na nagsimula ang SBMA hanggang ngayong panahon na ito, ang total na ibigay na po sa amin ng gobyerno is for ang ibibigay, kung a-approve po ninyo ito, including the 1.3 billion insertion, ang naibigay po ng national government is 4.5 billion. Pero ang naibigay na po namin sa national government, magmula po nung nagsimula tayo, from the BOC perspective, taxes with BOC, taxes with BIR, yun pong dividendo na binibigay ng SBMA, yun pong 5% local tax, 5% taxes na binabayad, is almost 195 billion. So ang hinihingi lang po ang nabigay pa lang po ng gobyerno sa amin, kung i-approve niyo po itong total na hinihingi namin na 1.2 billion, ulitin ko po is only 4.5 billion ang nabigay ng gobyerno since our inception. Pero ang naibalik na po namin since our inception sa national government through various taxes, not even counting the income taxes remitted by employees, wala pa rin po yung large taxpayers income tax, is already 195 billion. So katulad po nung sinabi ni Senator Gordon, we're hoping that the investments that you put into Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority can generate more income for the country as a whole, in addition to employment that we are already generating right now.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Senator Drilon is recognized.
with the permission of Senator Amy, has the chairman studied the possibility of a special provision which would authorize the use of income for SBMA?
Yes.
Sir, we have been trying with the help of Senator Gordon in the last Congress and in several Congresses even before our time. There has been a move to amend Republic Act 7227 because precisely we have not been able to utilize any of the taxes that we generate. But we have been very unfortunate that yun pong in the last Congress, nasa third reading na po tayo sa Senate, pumasa na po sa House, hindi po pa po na-carry over. So now we're starting again from scratch.
No.
I was very hopeful before COVID, but now naubusan na naman po ng oras. So we're still trying to...
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes,
I am talking about the General Appropriations Act.
okay.
In the
Okay.
General Appropriations Act, there are instances when the agency is allowed to use its income for a specific purpose.
Yep.
Example, the tuition fees that the state universities and colleges would generate, they're allowed to use their income. And I cannot just remember which agencies in government, but
DFA po, passport. DFA visa for repatriating of nationals.
yes, there you are. Use of income from passports. In other words, I do not know. This must be studied more, but that is a possible area which which your chairman can examine whether or not it is feasible to have a special provision which will allow SBMA to use the funds which they generate rather than have a special appropriate going through that amendment of your charter. I am just putting an idea on the record. Obviously, this is subject to closer examination, whether or not that's feasible, but this is one source of funds that you can tap since it will be coming from your own income. In other words, instead of going to the treasury, and then appropriated in the budget, the special provision would allow SBA to utilize income they generate to not the entire thing, but to a certain extent. I am just putting that idea on the record for the consideration of your chairman.
Yes, Vice Chair, I think that's an inspired suggestion. A GAA special provision for the year 2021, retaining a certain portion of SBMA's collections for a very specific purpose would be infinitely faster and simpler than trying for a congressional insertion in these times.
Senator Drilon, Senator Marcos, and Senator Gordon, we very much appreciate this input. I will immediately give instructions to my legal department to work with the offices in the Senate on how we can closely look into it, and hopefully po maisama pa namin to ngayon sa ongoing GAA discussions. Marami pong salamat, sir. We very much appreciate this.
But and then you can make it palatable by saying that beyond a certain amount of dividends, and just theoretically, if you have been remitting dividends of, say, just for purposes of example, 100 million a year, you can provide that in 2021, any amount in excess of what you have been remitting can be used for projects, infrastructure projects that you may have, so that you maintain the fiscal position of the government in terms of the budgeted source of revenue. If the budgeted source of revenue from SBMA is 100 million, maybe you can study the possibility of making a special provision that earnings in excess of 100 million can be used by the SBMA for specific purposes. That's a suggestion that I am making to the good Chairman Gordon to study and see if it can be done. We have done it before in other agencies. I cannot see why it cannot be done here.
Well, that has been considered in the previous Congress, but unfortunately, Senator Drilon, my problem has always been when you do something right, you're even punished. All the people there in Clark and Subic that suffered from the withdrawal of bases have worked together to bring themselves up by their own bootstraps. Unfortunately, whenever we proceed with that, the national government is always taking part of the money. But we're not going to be negative about that, and we accept the suggestion very, very well, and we shall valiantly try to rush that. You have to really create the research to make sure that you will. And the first one, I don't think you'll get enough, but certainly you'll get some. But then you'll still need some more.
Yeah.
To my mind, if it's productive, I think the policy of the government should be to try and help it some more so that it can be more productive. That's why we're trying to increase the pakinabang of Subic and Clark and all the others. So that's what we wanted to suggest, Mr. President. And the chairman of Subic should take note, along with the chairman of AFAB, because you've all been remitting faithfully. There's never been a time where we have not remitted, diba? Where you have not remitted. Right, Chairperson Ami?
Yes, sir. Last year, sir, we remitted 1.23 billion, sir.
There you go.
Sir, the slide is.
And going back to what you were saying earlier, if you look at the map of Subic, I think there is a map somewhere running around where you can show what you're going to build. For example, when you go to NSD, I remember we gave money to that, right?
Yes, sir.
Nagawa sa NSD na semento na ba yung
Yes, sir.
pinagdaanan kasi
Yes,
dinadaanan
sir.
ng bibigat na truck na hindi dumadaan ng panahon ng Amerikano at nadurog-durog yung mga semento ron, right? Or yung asfalto doon. Nagawa na ba yon?
Yes, sir. It's actually an ongoing program. Part po yan nung sinubmit namin po sa inyo. Right now, sir, the NSD Phase 3, the monies that you have given us is already up to 78% finished. Nahinto lang po again dahil sa COVID, but they have already gone back to construction right now. Kung makita niyo po, sir, dun sa slide, wala na po kaming hinihinging pera for NSD sapagkat matatapos na po siya because you have funded, the national government has funded it multi-year since 2018, 19, and 20 po.
What about the port? This is Frank. I just finished this. No? What about the port? Yung bang dredging ng port, which Americans did every 6 years, we put in money there. Have we sufficient dredging so that the aircraft carriers can go alongside the pier? And then the pier got damaged, I think, by an earthquake. Was it an earthquake that damaged it?
Yes, sir. The last earthquake in April, actually po tama, sir, si Ma'am Aimee, that we really need to get the ports repaired and rehabilitated. Kaya po, pinapamadali ko din po yung design, yung consultancy design. Para po, I'm hoping that we can get your support again in come the next budget deliberations. With reference to the...
Senator Delon's proposal, we will work on that, and I will suggest a master plan to enhance the facilities at Subic that have not been enhanced for the last 28 years because matibay talaga yung pagkagawa ng Amerikano eh. Nadulog na lang tayo. Itong nakaraan, hindi tayo nag-aalaga. Parang kabayong sinasakyan, hinahaplit, hindi na pinapakain, hindi na pinanghimas. Ano yan? Mamamatay na yung kabayo. Kaya kailangan ayusin natin ulit yung kabayo. Tama ba yan?
Yes, sir. Sir, yun pong tungkol po sa dredging, the DPWH funded last year 81 million of those 81 million, and the DPWH did that. However, sir, nabanggit ko po kanina that we commissioned a drainage master plan for the whole of Subic, including some of our main ports. Yun po sana ang kung pwede po sana naming ilambing sapagkat talaga pong nagbabaha na ang Subic, ngunit ang DBM po felt na hindi, dahil siguro po sa kagipitan, the DBM did not include that in our budget request. We already have the plan, pinondohan na po namin yung master plan. Kikiusap po sana kami if you can help us come up with a congressional insertion for the drainage system of Subic. A large part of that, of course, is the dredging sapagkat alam naman po natin, pumutok ang Mount Pinatubo, bumagsak lahat ng mga buhangin, tumaas ang tubig. So ang baha po namin ngayon dito sa atin are one of the highest, is at the highest already because of multiple factors. So it's one of those things that we are hoping that be considered as an insertion po. Sumulat din po kami sa DP.
Not only that, Madam Chairperson, Madam Moselle, Chairperson, the fact that more important to my mind, I believe, is the ability of Subic to allow, as you saw in Hong Kong, the existence of alongside here, and allow the cargo. That's one of the big pluses of Subic. Hindi lang yung bumabaha. Pero pag ginawa nyo yung dredging, ginawa nyo yung drainage, yung Kalaklan River, Olongapo gets flooded all the time in spite of constant dredging because there really is a lot of deposit up there. And you can get a study even from Dr. Kelvin Rodolfo. I don't know if he's still around in University of Illinois. And say that you have a lot of these things happening because of the natural phenomenon of Pinatubo. Yes, Senator Aimee?
Yes, Vice Chair. Hindi, naisip ko lang yung suggestion ni Senator Drilon. Dahil as a matter of fact, most of the GOCCs are using their generated funds. This is not a line agency. It's actually a government corporations. Hence, it should be easier for SBMA to keep some of its revenue. But the national government only gives them a subsidy in the event that corporate funds are inadequate and if equity hasn't been fully paid. So they have every reason to retain earnings. like another GOCC po. It's not even a line agency or a department.
No, but the point is, pinapakita talaga ng SBMA na they are worthy to be assisted. I don't think they have a subsidy. Tayo pa ang nagko-contribute sa national government. Yun ang point ni Senator Drilon.
Pero humihingi sila kasi ngayon ng 1.3 billion para sa infra.
Talagang the pressure of the infra is there already.
Oo naman, luma na
It's caught up with us. So we don't want to get old before we even reach our puberty, age of puberty. To make sure that we have to enhance and modernize is the correct word, or fortify, if you will, the excellent facilities that we have there. So the points are very well taken, Senator Marcos and Senator Drilon. Senator Drilon, you have another point?
Just pursuing it further. May I know from the administrator of SBMA, how much did you submit as the prospective dividends to the NG next year?
Target natin next year.
What's your budget for dividends to the NG next year?
Sir, if you'll allow me to just get the numbers at the moment. Sir NG.
Because to
Sa 2020, ito yung forecast dapat natin. Kaya lang ito lang, with COVID. Ito yung initially.
425 million.
Initially.
Million nga. Sir, our forecasted is 505,952,000. Because of what has been happening, we had to refocus, or we had to recompute because of what has happened. As I have pointed out, this year's dividend is 1.3 billion, but our forecast for next year is only 505 million.
Okay, stop there. What I am suggesting is that whatever in excess, let's say, of 505 billion, which is your commitment for dividends, you should be allowed to use that. So that also that's an incentive for the agency to work harder so that you'll have more net profit. Because you really need this infrastructure budget. And I tell you, industrial insertion is easily done. But you are subject to for later release, and you'll just get frustrated because sometimes it doesn't get released at all. That's why I am suggesting to the chairman and to our vice chairman of the committee to consider that. You're saying under the you have submitted a proposed dividend of 505 million. Two things you can do. You can say a special provision in excess of 505. You can appropriate it for specific infra project, or you can reduce. You can say, X% of the dividend will be used by the SBMA for its infrastructure project. That's why I'm saying I am just talking out of experience, and you can consider studying that in order to find out if that can be a source of income.
Thank you very much, sir.
The other comment that I have is dredging. I do not know if this dredging, is there a river that you dredge, or is this?
Sir, we are connected to Calaklan River in Olongapo City. But part of the dredging projects, as pointed out by Senator Gordon, is the ports themselves. Yun kung sinabi din ni Ma'am Amy kanina, kasi po before, military carriers can park in our ports. But since they've already been, because of all the fallout, ngayon ho, sir, it's heavily silted already. Hindi na po kaya, yung depth po niya, hindi na po kaya. So yun po yung isa sa pinupoint out ni Senator Gordon kanina na for dredging. So we're talking about two kinds of dredging. One is for the port so that we can accommodate the ships, the hull of the ships. And then second po, yung for the drainage system. Kasi nga po, of the many factors of siltation plus the rising tide, umuulan na din, bumabaha din po kami. So we need actually two kinds of dredging.
The reason I ask that is that the Department of Public Works today is allergic to dredging because dredging is difficult to check. And it's tedious. You know, you have to check how many cubic meters have been dredged, how far it has gone down. What I'm suggesting to you is you study the possibility of buying your own dredger.
Right.
So that you can have your own dredger there. That's what I did in my river in Iloilo. Instead of having an annual appropriation for dredging, I used the money to buy 2 dredging machines. Of course, it's a river. That's why. But now, you know, for the past maybe 10 years or so, we have not asked for a budget for dredging because we have the dredging machine, which bawing-bawi na in terms of cost. You may wish to consider that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Those Japanese dredgers or Chinese dredgers, Frank? Senator Jalan.
Wala pang Chinese dredging noon nung binili ko yan.
Yes, if I may, ganun din ang ginawa namin sa Poway Lake. May sarili na kaming dredger kasi taon-taon ganun din ang problema.
Right.
I think I'll just make a slight correction dun sa suggestion for a special provision in the GAA. As it turns out, all the GOCCs are required to remit 50% of their net income. It's in the RA 7656. So perhaps we should also consider drafting an enabling law to allow SBMA to retain more than the 50%.
Just have a special provision in the GAA.
Yeah.
Ang effectivity niya is only for 1 year.
Only for 1 year. Otherwise, in addition, mag-enabling law na tayo. But actually, yung 50%, pwede talaga ninyo i-retain ng net income, even without an enabling law.
Hindi.
Yes po, nasa RA 7656, yun ang ruling sa GOCC.
Yeah, you are obliged to remit at least 50% of your profit. That is why they have budgeted 505 million as as the profit that they will remit
Correct.
to the government. That's why my suggestion are 2 things.
Special, yeah.
Special provision which will say in excess of 505 million, SBMA can use it.
Yes,
So
sir.
it's no harm to those finances of the national government.
Yes, I'm suggesting in addition po, para hindi na taon-taon yan, mag-enabling law na rin lang.
ABB ko yan.
Marami pong salamat. As soon as this is over, we will focus on the amendment of RA 7227 where the very specific provision now, natutuwa po ako na I already have 2 senators and of course Senator Gordon who will support us for this very particular provision. Thank you very much po.
Actually, I'd like to ask my good friend Frank in this matter. No, I know that you wrote the bill on the government corporations. No, you know what is wrong ba? Kasi sa tingin ko, we really feel hurt. The government is not really given Subic much in terms of support, in terms of money. I mean, volunteers made that Subic happen. We work on the investments. Pero in reality, in terms of big appropriations, we never really quite got the support that we need. And now we're catching again ourselves. So to my mind, I think we should really become more, on the principle of closer is better because you can also check them out. We should not handcuff initiative by AFAB or by any productive enterprise such as Subic or Clark or everywhere. Now, and then adding to the comments of the senator from Iloilo, I mean, I've been a big fan of that dredging of Iloilo. But here, ang problema, Senator Drilon, is that we have that river. which has been silted. The ocean has been silted. There is ocean surging or rising. And then yung lupa ng pinatubo, pumapasok doon sa ilog, maghuhukay ka doon sa labas. Kaya tama yung suggestion, nung araw pa natin pinag-uusapan yan. Ngayon, you make it a point to buy your own dredger. And put that in your, pwede nyo pang ihabol yan. Ihabol natin kung kailangan ihabol. But let's do that as soon as possible because you need to start dredging. Otherwise, as you say, hindi nagpa-flood ng panahon ng Amerikano. Ngayon, nagpa-flood. Talagang it shows how sometimes we have been remiss. But they're extenuating. There is serious circumstances such as the enormous amount of ash as well as the climate change that is affecting the chemistry of the needed appropriations. Thank you. Having said that, do you still have any questions, Senator Amy?
No, thank you very much. And yun nga lang yung general administration and support, saka na lang ibigay whenever you have it. And in the meantime, if we have no more questions, I move for the approval of the SBMA budget here at the subcommittee and its endorsement to the Mother Committee on Finance.
Any second?
Ma'am? Ma'am, sorry po. Just so I can answer the question of Senator Amy already. Yun pong 4.9 billion, this is actually internally generated. Hindi po namin ito hinihingi sa national government or any agency for that matter. This is our own internally generated money that we use to operate.
Alam ko na internally generated, pero kasi naitanong din ng COA ng dati.
Anyway, there's a motion duly seconded to submit the proposed budget of SBMA subject to certain revisions such as the suggestions of Senator Drilon and Senator Marcos and all the other things that we should put in to be able to enhance and with the direction to the SBMA authorities and to Mariveles, the Special Economic Zone and Freeport of AFAB, that they start looking into the suggestions made so that we could in fact accelerate our growth in Central Luzon. There has been no objection, so now we're now going to submit this to the chairman of the committee, and after which we can now present it to the plenary. Chair will now entertain any motion to adjourn.
Yes, we move to adjourn the meeting of the subcommittee on finance.
On the matters of Subic.
On the matters of LEDAC, APECO, AFAP, and SBMA.
Thank you. Second, second, no objection. The same is hereby approved.
Thank you very much po. Maraming salamat po.